I'm wondering if today is the official day of the funeral of the playoff race for the Tigers. They are now 11 games under 500. They have lost more ground to the Twins today. At some point, it's fun to fantasize about them making this run toward a division title in a very winnable division where you may not even have to win 81 games to win it. But I think scoring 4 runs in 2 games today and a couple of runs at the end were pretty much at the end of a blowout when pitchers are probably just throwing strikes just to try to get the thing over with. It just showed that the offense of this team has never been of a quality where hopes of winning a division was realistic. And they again showed so much a lack of power all up and down the lineup in so many different spots. They just never get that 2-run homer out of nowhere very often. So I would think, with the trade deadline here, a couple guys probably getting shipped out, the fact that they got swept by the Angels, some of the playoff talk probably will pipe down around the Twitter world.
Yeah, and I think it should. I mean, I don't know if I'd expect this team to fall off a cliff and be 15, 20 games under 500. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, you expect a team like the Twins to pick it up. I think Carlos Correa has been a little bit better. Maybe they make a move. I mean, they already have made a move trading Jorge Lopez for Dylan Floro. The Guardians, they're at 500. We saw them make a run. They could continue to play better down the stretch. So, yeah, I think that the terms of winning the division, I think that talk should be over. I mean, they're 11 games under 500. They're going to sell at the deadline. They've had a couple players, play over their head. And like Zach McKinstry, I think is kind of been figured out a little bit in terms of at the plate. Kerry Carpenter has struggled a little bit. Now, I'm not saying he's going to fall off a cliff or anything, but I think they're becoming the team we thought they were going to be, which is around a 70-win team. And they have shown a lot of fight this year. So it'll be interesting to see. But
when I say that, we can plan the funeral for the playoff hopes. That doesn't mean it hasn't been an enjoyable season. There have been some good takeaways. Some of the pitching performances have been very solid and have kept the club in it. Riley Green, when he hasn't been hurt, has been sensational to watch. So we've seen Spencer Torkelson take at least some steps forward. Kerry Carpenter take some steps forward. Matt Vierling get out to a slow start, but now is at least a semi-useful player. Jake Rogers, better than I thought he would be, and has made some swing changes I think that are helping. So it's been a fun year, and we're going to watch it out to the end because we're Tiger fans and that's what we do. But I think that the offense has really just shown that they've had very little improvement from last year as a whole. And that it has to be a point of emphasis with Scott Harris that his offseason, if he has any intent to make a run next year at a division that should still be fairly winnable for any team that's really trying, to find some depth offensively for this lineup where they can count on scoring more than 3 runs on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and I mean, Tiger Town in the chat has had some great questions and some great comments. I mean, asking the question of improvement from this year to last year record-wise. I don't know if the record – I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything, but I think you're looking for more – you're looking deeper than just the record. You're looking for improvement for players. I think just morale, I think, seems a lot better for the Tigers. I think just having this overall of the front office. I mean, one thing we haven't even brought up was the draft. The Tigers spent more money than any other team in the draft. I think that is a really positive development and showing that the Tigers know they need to build through the draft and need to build a core and a foundation to where they can build a sustainable winner. So I think that's a really positive thing as well. But yeah, I like you said, naming off all the players like the Torkelsons, Greens, and Kerry Carpenters, some of the relievers like Foley and Lang and Tyler Holton, like seeing the development of those guys is really what matters. Because at the end of the day, even if the Tigers were able to sneak into the playoffs, we're looking long term. We're looking for them to compete for a World Series, and I think there's pieces in place right now, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done for this team to truly be looked at as a contender for a World Series.
So I'm not exactly sure what Tiger Town was asking in terms of the record from one year to the next. Is he saying that it's good to be a little bit better each year?
He said the real question we should be asking ourselves as Tigers fans is, did we make improvement from last year to this year record-wise?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully they will. I mean, that's obviously one way to track it. But also, let's remember there are plenty of instances in baseball history in the last few decades where a team has gone from worst to first, too, or made significant strides. I wonder if we really did an in-depth study of playoff teams, find out how many teams went, from 60 wins to 75 wins to 88 wins, then all of a sudden winning the title, over a 4-year progression, a little bit better at a time. Or did they keep building their organization, strike the right chord in free agency, and go from 67 wins to 95 wins, and all of a sudden, boom, they're a contender? I would bet we'd find instances of both. So I don't get too lost in the wins and losses, because, you might have injuries one year versus peak performance of a bad roster another year, and both teams might end up with 66 wins. Which one is better? It's hard to say.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking about too is just like in terms of having a star, like a bona fide all-star level hitter. I think we can now pretty confidently say we have that in Riley Green. Only 258 at bats this year, but I mean, he's been really good, and he did have a bit of a rough stretch towards the start of the season. But to see him come back and hit the way that he has, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. The Tigers haven't really had a true all-star level hitter since like Miguel Cabrera in 2016. He was the last. I mean, if you're counting Justin Upton in 2017, but he was traded at the deadline. I mean, Miggy in 2022. I wouldn't really count that. Like, to me, it looks like the Tigers finally have like a star level player in the middle of their lineup, which we haven't had in a very long time. And even some of the worst teams in baseball, they'll have that guy that they can look at and rally around and kind of be the face of the team. I think we're starting to see that with Riley Green now, and I think that's really, really exciting to see with him being so young and having the success that he has. I mean, like, who was that for us these last couple of years? Was it Nick Castellanos? I mean, he was really the best hitter we had for a while. I mean, Candelario over the last couple of years, at least in 2021, he was probably our best hitter. So to have a guy like Riley Green, who we can say is hitting like an all-star, has an all-star level ceiling, is very, very exciting to see. And it's been a long time coming for the Tigers.
I'm going to be the guy who taps the brakes just slightly. I think what we have seen has been very fun and very impressive. I've been very impressed with what he does with 2 strikes. He has the ability. There's no question. And he has the possibilities of being the star you're talking about. He has the possibilities of being, a guy who gets MVP votes, right? And that's what they're hoping for. He still needs to show a little more power, a little more consistent power. And he just needs to do it for a longer period of time. And obviously he needs to stay healthy, which he hasn't done, but he just needs to show this over a longer stretch of time. You're saying he's at 258 at bats this year, plus whatever he had last year. So we're still probably under 700 career at bats, right? I don't know what he had last year.
So he has 634 for his career. So
okay, so
that was
a
good guess.
Yeah, not bad. So, if he can continue on this year, stay healthy through next spring training, and come out doing the same thing, I think they have something to build around.